Welcome, everyone, to another live episode of Jacob's Ladder, where there is major news and everything is about to change. I am your host, Jacob Israel, and we are going to navigate all of the incredible end times revelation. I like to make things interesting because there's a lot of interesting things happening. Breaking news, stuff that's going on right now. I mean, we're going to go all over the place today. So I hope that you are fired up. I see a lot of people already here in the chat. Appreciate you hitting the like already. Thank you very much, smashing it. Just like Mickey Martin's telling everybody, smash it. You know who may win the speaker thing? Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan. Remember I was talking about Jim Jordan? Said Jim Jordan, he's my man, even though 6 months earlier, when we did a show about the speaker, he's like, I want nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with it. This is very interesting, because if he becomes the speaker, there's going to be so much just upheaval. It's going to be insane. But as of just a little while ago, looks like he may have the vote. He may be the guy going in. Everybody's concerned about the sound today because if you watched the last show, I went and I cut to a couple of roll-ins and I just left them mute. Just imagine me in the background just sitting here waiting, thinking everybody's listening to all the great stuff that was played in that video, and there was no sound. I apologize for that. I'm a little bit of a meatball, you know, but I mean well. We got major, some people may say it's a little bit of an escalation. But I say everything's a good thing, even regardless of what you think. But before we go there, we got a lot of stuff to pull back. We got a lot of stuff to look into. We're just starting with Jim Jordan. We're going to get into video games. We're going to get into stuff that's going on in the Middle East. It's going to be exciting. So this was actually a one of those clips that I shared in my live show a little while ago. And if you look in the center of the screen, you'll see Jim Jordan. I say just because Jim is English for Jacob, Jim Jordan for speaker. What do you say? Now that was at 11:12. Now no one thought he was going to, enter into the race because of course he last time said no. So a lot of people were responding, said he didn't want anything to do with it. And I said, well, I don't know. I just got a vibe because I don't know. And then 22 minutes later, there's that number 22. We're going to get into 22 today. There's a big football thing that just happened on the field, the old Buffalo Bills. And if you know anything about the Buffalo Bills, well, the head guy, the owner, he was all connected to those secret societies. I'm not saying anything that happened on the field was something like that, but it sure was coincidental. Damian Harris, number 22, got hit so hard they had to take him off in the ambulance. We're going to get there today too. We are. I'll just show you a quick sneak peek of what's coming. Yeah, you know what his name means? It means to subdue, to tame. And the last name means the son of Harry. Red hair, right? Hair. Everything's about the hair. Right now we got Chris Rock back in the news with the Will Smith, right? Turns out they were like separated. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, they were separated for 6 years. There's that number. Everything's so super spiritual and so significant. Isn't that strange? 6 years. Separated 6 years. Nobody knew about it. But they're talking about that slap that happened at the Oscars. Right when Chris was supposed to, give the award out to Summer of the Soul. That was a documentary that was done by a great musician and great band, but never really got there because, of course, the whole slap that was heard around the world. And we know that the picture of Will Smith, he was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Bale. This is how it's going to all tie in. Bel-Air, Smith, which means to strike. So the striker hits the rock of Christ all over a bunch of hair jokes. Alopecia jokes. Interesting. And here we have the son of Harry. being carted off in the ambulance that bore the numbers of Damar Hamlin, 33 and 22. Isn't that interesting? Some people, I'm starting to see this a lot more and more online. I'm not the biggest sports guy. I was kind of beat up by the sports players when I was sick, so I kind of stayed away from it. I just wasn't my thing. But I know a lot of people are saying that they think that like the NFL's rigged or something. We've heard things about balls being deflated and all other stuff, but that's like a thing now. I don't know why. I can't really comment on that, but I got to tell you that what just went down was very strange to me. Almost as strange as like right now we're waiting to hear about Jim Jordan and whether or not this is the deal. But it's so strange, right? Because we thought that Scalise was going to be the guy. The news came out that Scalise was going to be the guy, and everybody was like, Scalise is the man. And I kind of kept quiet. I was like, that doesn't feel right to me. Doesn't feel right to me. I said, I feel like maybe there's supposed to be more. I actually even came out and said on October 12th, when everybody thought it was going to be Scalise, I still was like, Steve means crown. Scalise means ladder climber. So yeah, there's a cool allegory there. Of course, I'm just kind of a speculator here. I just do weird things on the channel. I just look into the meaning of names and the meaning of things. It means nothing. It's really just for entertainment purposes or spiritual wisdom and guidance. You decide what it is. But I just looked at the names and I was like, that'd be cool. But wasn't he the guy that was like, he got boom on the field. Somebody hit him with the Bam Bams. And I didn't feel like it was a good little metaphor, spiritually speaking. I said, I feel a better story should win the day. Will Jim Jordan pave the way? I like that story, I'd like to say. At least something to amuse us on Judgment Day. That's all we're doing. This is just for I don't really want to say enjoyment purposes because I'm not enjoying a lot of it. I enjoy my family. I enjoy encouraging people. But I don't enjoy the things that I'm seeing and the things that you're all being subject to. So I think that if you haven't seen the show that I did on that, you should check it out because it's a great allegory. My thinking is that would be the catalyst for a whole other can of worms that's going to be open. Remember I said 2023, the year of shakeups? I said this was going to be the thing. Well, I wouldn't doubt he ends up in that position. We may see. So, the Grimace Man himself may have a little bit of a problem. Today's news from the Oversight Committee, they put this out. They said they're investigating whether classified documents were being caught mishandled, including sensitive information to specific countries involved in their business schemes that brought in millions for the Bidens. That doesn't sound upright, does it? That doesn't sound like, you remember when you were, well, I don't know, maybe not you. I'm 52. Most children today, I don't think they look at the president and they think, oh, a moral, upright man. I think today everybody's taught to not buy into any of it because everything just seems so corrupt, so phony baloney. But when I was young, I don't know, I was raised to think that like, oh, the president's a good thing. And then when all the stuff came out with, Clinton and when that came out with the Bushes, it was a big eye-opening experience. And we got a lot of eye-opening going on, too. It seems like the 60-Minute host thinks that Biden needs to open his eyes because the news is that he's tired. That's what they think. They think he's just overwhelmed and he's just way too tired because of everything that he's handling. He was so tired in that interview, a couple of people, he mentioned like France, and they're like, he doesn't know that we're not battling France. But that I don't know if that's what he meant to say. I think it was just a stumble, but a couple of people are saying that here he goes again, Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe, where the host is saying he seems tired, I don't know. But I will say that the supposedly he's taking a strong stance on, there's going to be no occupying of that strip. It would be a big mistake. But he also says that, we're all together and we're all united. Just too much. And you have human lives caught in between. Or as Logan Paul likes to call them, peasants. Peasants. I wonder if the elite, I wonder if they see, people that just aren't multi-gabillionaires. I wonder if they see us that way as like peasants. Like just mouths to feed. That's why they want us all to eat crickets. I mean, they have like a lot of organizations that are working together to make cricket this, mealworm that. By 2030, you won't own anything. You'll be happy. You'll be eating bugs. Some people say, I don't know if it's going to happen. I will say that it's, the shocking news right now, Rhonda Peterson. Thank you very much. Always, every week, I'm Rhonda Still. I'm your favorite meatball. I like that. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, if you're new to the channel and you're here now, we got a lot of people watching. We got a lot of people. Hit that like button. Smash it. Give it a cacao. And that'll tell YouTube to tell more people that this is a fun show. It's good stuff. It's going to get really interesting soon. This is what I'm sure the Marf and all the other big channels that really do a great, if you don't know anything about Marfoogle TV and Marf News, you could check them out. I'm sure they're going to be talking about this. But the big news about preparing for people to be going over to get involved in this conflict, well, let's just say that it's not for combat, okay? So, let's be excited about that. Let's be excited to see troops helping people, because that's supposedly what it's supposed to be for humanitarian relief and everything else. But, of course, the headlines aren't going to tell you that, so it's going to get you all scared. And, of course, what do? I put that word, on the thumbnail to get you in there, but really with the question mark. I have a feeling that if we have faith and we come on here, because Jesus was very clear, he says, you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars, and it's going to be scary. He goes, but don't worry. But don't worry. Don't worry. We don't even know if half of what we're seeing is we're seeing. We don't even know. One day we're told one thing. The next day we're told we can't confirm. So who believes what today, right? Yeah, Neil, I'm glad you caught a live show. Tessie, thank you for catching a live show. Everybody's so excited you caught a live. I'm happy too. And I'm seeing everybody smashing that like. See, I address you. And you're like, thank you for saying hi to me. I'm here. I'm talking to everybody. And I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad you're all here. So I don't want you all to freak out. All right? I don't want you all to freak out, But I do want you to question whether or not this is like you're involved in probably the coolest movie of all time and you don't even know it, that you're the lead character. We're the lost tribes of Jacob, the Israelites, which, by the way, it's like getting a bad name now. Everybody's like, oh, and I had to even explain to a couple of people that, Jacob Israel is like in all the religions, not just Christianity. It's Judaism, it's Islam, it's Christianity. It's not like, people want to just stay, they want to really just tear everything down. Israel, just so you know, I just want to point this out. I know that it's probably like, it's called a land mass, and it's like on a map, but according to scripture and the one that I talk about, because I'm not even Jewish, right? But the last name I was inspired to take is not even my real last name. It's a picture of us overcoming with God and man. Overcoming, It's overcoming our lower nature, overcoming our hate, and we wrestle. We do wrestle, don't we, with the things today? But a lot of people are putting a negative slant on it, and I was like, it makes me feel bad, especially with my name. It's like I have a problem enough people recommending the channel around. You add my last name to the mix, and everybody's freaking out. Ruby is pointing out Isis Ra El. Yeah, a lot of people have shared that as well. It's actually Yisrael. There's a whole other thing, but that's not what today's show's about. But the point is things are weird. It's weird that I kind of chose that last name for myself. That's weird that I was inspired to do that, right? This is the Dan calling. That's weird. Calling right. You want to say hi to my wife, everybody? Hang on, I'm going to put you on. I'm going to put you on. I didn't tell her that I was going to be live. So she's in the car right now. I'm in a live show. Say hi to everybody, Dan.
Hi.
All right, I love you, but
Love you too. Bye.
all right, bye. Yeah. Well, she's my best bud. She's my best bud. I try to explain these things to her. I try to talk to her about this. I reached out to a couple of friends. I texted them for information. I was texting people that I knew that were like, we'll say people that go to like religious organizations a lot, whether it's a mosque or a temple or whatever. So I'm reaching out to everybody. I'm like, pray, pray, pray. I was so concerned about a certain day. I was like, pray. And none of them got back to me. And Dan was like, she's like, well, maybe, you sound a little weird when you reach in. Maybe these people, they're not really where you are. And I go, yeah, clearly. Who wants to be where I am right now? Actually, I do, because my life is pretty good. My life is pretty good. Even though it seems like the world is turning to hell. Hey, did you know Landon Johnson? Thank you for the super chat. I see you, Landon. Such a nice guy. That was nice of you. Do you know that there was a 2012 Economist, the Economist magazine, like they predict things? 11 years ago, 11's a big number on the channel too. It's very symbolic, the 11. There's 11 this, there's 11 that, 11. I have a video on it if you want to check it out. But do you know that their 2012, their 2012 holiday edition, it's like for Christmas Eve or something, was called A Rough Guide to Hell. Yeah. How about them apples? Rough Guide to Hell. That sounds fun, right? Who wants to get a copy and read that? But you know what a lot of people are freaking out about? They're freaking out over the fact that there were like hand gliders in it. Let me see. I'm going to blow this up for you and you can just see. You can just take a look and you just see that you see the two nations using hang gliders and attacking each other. People are like, that's just very odd. I thought it was odd too. Really, it's more like devil's wings. That's what they were actually riding in on. It is strange. It is strange. And of course, the devil's standing over a button that says climate change on it. Climate change. Let me just blow this up. This is a very interesting magazine cover. You take a look at it, and then you see a bunch of other little devils. And what are they doing? They're behind the computers, right? The devils are running the simulation. And then, of course, you got the judges. The judges. American Idol. So interesting. So interesting. But the Rough Guide to Hell. Yeah. Well, I did a show. I've done a lot of shows, actually. I did one just about, 3 weeks ago. Almost like on the money of when things went down, where because the UN chief was declaring the gates of hell have been opened. Okay, remember that? Now, I've been saying the gates of hell are coming, for a long time, since going back to when we had that. Do you remember that? Remember the Japanese killing stone that contained the nine-tailed fox demon? And it was like 1,000 years that stone had been like sitting there, and after 1,000 years, it snapped open. And supposedly there's a story behind this Japanese. It's called the Killing Stone. And there's a story behind it where that a Buddhist monk trapped the demon in there. The demon was like the devil. And that if it was released in the world, it was going to cause all sorts of mayhem and panic and terrible things. Needless to say, a lot of mayhem and panic and terrible things have happened. Not just that, but you know what else? On Mount Ebal, around the same time, there were curse tablets. Curse tablets with the inscription about how God lays out blessings and curses before you, like I shared in the book of Deuteronomy just a little while ago. Choose good, right? Choose evil? What are you going to choose? You're going to choose to do good or you're going to choose to do evil? But strange. Same thing on June 6, 2023. And if you look at that video that I did, that was 4 months ago. Because on June 6th, and what happened on October 6th? So 4 months exactly. Welcome to hell, New York. And I did my little video. And if you look at the thumbnail in the video, let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. You can see all of the interesting things that I kind of hid in the background. And one of them was found at an old airport. Yep, the Denver International Airport. And I got to tell you something. If that picture is not appropriate today, and if you look at the little coin there, that's the official Abrahamic Accords coin. Very similar type of a staff. And toward the end of that staff, just like towards the end of the sword that you're looking at in the picture, it's not a staff, it's a sword, excuse me, there is a dove. Let me just blow that up so you know I'm not making up stories. There is a dove. And of course, the planet Saturn, which we know Saturn is synonymous with Satan, the adversary. You know, but who's keeping track? Who's keeping track? But guess what the news is? The news is Biden's working like hell. He's working like hell to make sure that all these hostages are released. And of course, there is the updated news from just today where you see, look at what's going on. Hell is having your children there, fast becoming a hellhole. The gates of hell thrown wide open. And that's why I did that video where I said they shall not prevail. And I did the whole thing about the gates of hell and how they're opened and how in the grand scheme of things, none of it really matters because God is going to have his way. God is going to lead us through all of it, whatever it is. And a lot of people may have a problem with that. They may have a problem coming to terms with that at first, but I am telling you something. There is something going on, and it's interesting. It's interesting to me, especially because I don't know why I want Jim Jordan to be the speaker. I don't even know why. It's not like anybody told me anything. I just kind of I was like, I wonder if he's going to be the guy. Just kind of feel, look, isn't his name James is the equivalent for Jacob, same name. James, the brother of Jesus, it would be Jacob, the brother of Jesus. After Jesus, they say, who do you go to? You go to his brother, you go to Jacob. It's interesting. It's interesting. But what do I know? All of these weird things. But Diablo is back in the news. Speaking of Diablo, speaking of the gates of hell being opened. In Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the devil's left the sanctuary. Lilith, who, by the way, a lot of people don't know this, is, I believe, connected to the Queen of the South. That is supposed to rise with the generation. In the judgment, the men of Nineveh will stand up at judgment with the generation and condemn it. That's today. So that would be like as if people from back in Nineveh's day somehow were then reborn in this earth today during this end time, and they condemned it. They're saying this is a terrible time because they repented at the preaching of Jonah. Now something greater than Jonah is here. The Queen of the South, that would be Lilith. That would be the Queen of Sheba, the one that visited Solomon. You ever watch my show on the emojis and demons? All the mythos that surrounds the Queen of the South, the Queen of Sheba, who will rise up, listen to this, with this generation and condemn the generation. So Lilith rises to condemn the generation, for she came from the ends of the earth to listen to Solomon's wisdom, and now someone greater than Solomon is here. And then it goes into this, when an impure spirit comes out of a person, it goes through arid places, seeking where it can rest, and it doesn't find any. Then it says, I'll return to the house I left. When it arrives, it finds the house is unoccupied, swept clean and put in order. Then it goes and it takes with it 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and they live there. And the final condition of that person, worse than the first. That is how it will be with this wicked generation. They will be 7 times more evil, 7 times more possessed, because the Queen of the South, the Queen of Sheba, Lilith, this spirit, this devil, the 9-tailed fox was released from the rock, and now it's looking to possess people. It's no joke that I just did a video, right? Did I not just do a video where I was like, how to avoid demonic possession? And how does the devil get in? Through your eyes, the gates of the soul, what you see, what you hear, what you believe. That's why in that, let me go to that cover again, if I can show you that cover. In that cover, that's why it looks like it looks like they're all behind a computer. That's why I said guard yourself. This is an important time for us to be alive. So much so that the debt clock, do you know what the U.S. debt clock is? Because there's a lot of talk about debt. You know how like our debt was like here and then just like this year it went like that? Supposedly, like in a couple weeks, it like went up, shot up like a gabillion times with all this crazy spending. They got this website and it kind of has the debt clock in real time. It's supposed to be the most accurate down to a whatever, like a seventh of a whatever. And it's been putting up these secret messages. How many people have heard about the secret messages? Because, man, I got to tell you something. It's strange. So it put out like a couple of them. One of them was Jesus went into the temple of God and cast all of them out that sold and bought in the temple. And they overthrew the tables of the money changers. Here you have a picture of Jesus going into the temple. The story has it. He looked at Jerusalem. He saw what was done. He goes into, and they're basically the temple of God. It was turned into a marketplace, a den of thieves, nothing but thieves in there. People robbing people, blind, taxing you on this, taxing you on that tax. I guess, I don't know. I don't know what it was back in the day, but they were doing, what they would do is they'd change the money. It's like, oh, you can't use Roman money. You got to use our money. God won't approve the Roman money. And then they would take back and they'd hold a portion of the money for themselves. And they'd sell like doves, and you got to bring in a dove and everything. It would be like going to a church today and you could buy a tambourine, but the tambourines were like the lamest tambourines. You know, the oil was like gross. They weren't even great sacrifices that they were selling, and it became just a marketplace. And it upset Jesus so much that he went in there and he threw over the tables. But this is a picture of more, okay? Because it's a picture of the day that Christ comes. Because the Antichrist, you know, regardless of what you've been told about it being a literal character and it going to be this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy, and it very well may be, but it's also a lot of other people, because the Antichrist takes his residence in the temple of God, which we are. We're the temple of God. And when the Antichrist stands up and declares himself to be God, Jungle J, thank you very much. He tells everybody to hit the like button. That was nice. Thanks for the super chat, brother. Appreciate that. When that happens, what happens? All the sacrifices are set free and everything else, and they were upset with him. They were upset with him. But really, who needs to be set free? It's our heart. You know, we've been made into a marketplace. So really, Christ is within us, turning over these tables. Everything that you thought you knew has been turned over. I once had trust in the people of power. I believed. But those tables have turned over. Do you know what that means? It means overthrow. Do you know what that means? Turns back to something that it's supposed to be. So it's very interesting. It's a spiritual picture. What is the U.S. debt clock doing talking about that? Must mean, a lot of people are saying, that there's going to be this new currency. It's going to come in. And it's about time. But the next post that it put out, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day and heard and behold a great voice as of a trumpet. All of this stuff. End times prophecy on this website. Strange. So last night, it gets really weird. And they put up this post from Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson, who, by the way, everybody's saying Trump is eerily familiar to. It's like his hero. There are articles written about how similar they are. Okay, so this is interesting, Leslie. Thank you for the super chat. He writes this thing, you're a den of vipers and thieves, and I intend to cut you, and by the eternal God, I will... I mean, it's... The words that he's saying here about overthrowing and getting rid of this bank, they were called the bank wars. He was taking on the banks. Today you would say it would be like somebody coming in and taking on the central banks, where basically everybody becomes a slave. And by 1835, the United States would become debt-free. That's how quick Andrew Jackson took care of things. Very interesting. But once again, I'm not a history guy. I didn't have time within, from 6 o'clock, that little hidden message. So you should do the research. You let me know. Send me an email. Tell me how much more remarkable this is. I feel like there's something brewing. Now, you know what's weird about all of this Diablo stuff, all these references, is yesterday somebody was, I guess, playing the game and they put something out where, you know, it was kind of like, this is how you beat the main guy, I guess. I don't know nothing about video games, people. So it's like, I'm not the guy to talk to about this. But Elon was responding to somebody who was talking about the game Diablo. And we know that Elon loves Diablo. He right? Right when the logo was out, he was playing the game. You know, he was playing so many things that are just way too coincidental to be just coincidence. That's why I know that there's more, and that's why I know that we shouldn't be as stressed out as we are, especially with the days that we're in, because it's just getting freaky. But here's where it gets really interesting. And once again, if you're new to the channel, kind of an ongoing joke here is that Elon watches the show. He may even be, you know, like I may even have him in my DMs. I have a lot of people pretending to be him, that's for sure. But he won't acknowledge it. He won't come out and give, you know, why would he? Like, I call him Nick at night, like Nicodemus. Nicodemus used to come to Jesus in the dark. So I years ago prayed. I said, Lord, that you'd bring him to my page, that he would start to see these videos, because I saw him being the guy. And that he could, you know, that God could turn his heart and maybe use him. Some people like, oh, you got a crush on him. Other people like, oh, you're not being fair to him. Because I don't know what to make of him. You know, a guy who wears the devil champion outfit. I mean, that's a little freaky, right? I told people, maybe this is just like him, because people call him that all the time. He might as well give it to him, because no one wants to see his real heart. Who knows? But we've had so much coincidence on the channel, so many times where I'll do something or I'll say something, and it's like beyond, in my opinion. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that he's been watching. Let's just put it this way. So he put out this thing where he said, can you defeat Uber Lilith without using malignant hearts? Malignant is like using malevolence. It's like kind of like being super evil, like a super evil, like, you know, like Dr. Evil with the lasers, the freaking lasers, right? Can you beat Uber Lilith with that? Now, but Lilith is like in the land today. So I'm looking at it spiritually speaking, like that there's an evil in the land today. There's an evil in the land today that's making people like 7 times more evil and more corrupt and more hateful than ever before. That's what I'm thinking. So I respond and I say to him, I'd say there's probably another way, but perhaps that road isn't often pursued, except for by the truly brave. That being said, if you defeat Uber Lilith with I don't even know how to pronounce it. I had a problem pronouncing this, Matt, yesterday too. I was trying to, malevolent. There you go. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. Matt says, yeah, it's freaky, but I'm awesome. I appreciate you, Matt. Thank you, man. But if you beat, you know, Uber Lilith, malevolence with malevolence, doesn't that make you the new Uber Lilith today? I'd say there's probably a better, more righteous way. Now, somebody responded and said, you know, he's talking about the video game Diablo. The malignant hearts are for people who have killed off Lilith, the main character, and are playing the next round online. Next round after that starts in a couple of days. I haven't seen an Uber Lilith. Interesting. So there's like something actually going on in the game. Is there an Uber Lilith? Who knows? And then I said, well, I know you're talking about the video game. I said, I was making an allegorical point. It was a metaphor based on myth. Words are important. The question is, can we defeat evil with evil? And should we? Or is there another way? I say you defeat supreme evil with good, and I'd like to add my 2 cents here and there. So there you have it. Now, I put that out at 10:49. 10:49, all's that. Thank you very much for the super chat, brother. I appreciate do what you up. Do what you do. That's a cool name for YouTube. So now, wouldn't you know it, I don't know how many hours later, 10, 12, 11 hours later, Elon puts out, can you beat hatred without a malignant heart? So very clearly, he saw what I wrote very clearly to me. Very clearly. And then Ian Miles Chang, whoever he is, not a big fan of his. I kind of like muted him. I don't really like hearing from him. He just spouts too much stuff that's just doesn't feel like comes from a good place to me. But what do I know? You guys got to judge. But then he wrote, nice Diablo 4 reference, but also a good question. Being pure of heart makes it more difficult, just like I said. And then he says, the metaphor works. And I felt like he was just messing with me. He's like, I'm watching. I'm just not going to respond to you. Because, hey, if I respond to you, then you may get a lot more followers. And if you get a lot more followers, they may really listen to what you're saying. And maybe more people will pray. And maybe more people will put their faith in God and not this, horrible system. That's really, you guys got to clean up your act. How many thousands of years people have been running the show? This is the best you got? After how long? I think it's time for a change. Something new. That's what God says in the end. He goes, behold, I do something new. It's a shake-up. So, I think that it's very strange. I think it's also very strange that the DOD just gave Elon, he gave him a big Star Shield promotion thing. Lasers, pew pew, all of that stuff going on. Starlink launching satellites with space lasers. Space lasers. You know what lasers are used for besides, shooting down rockets that are coming in? Holograms. Holograms. What? Lasers make 3D holograms. How cool is that? Now, I've talked about this before. Once again, I don't know. But you got like this, get all these satellites everywhere, creating like a net. Even the picture for the article, you see the lasers connecting to each other, making like a web. Who's to say what we're going to see next? Signs in the heavens? Signs in the earth? Just weird. But space lasers, yeah, and lasers on ground too. They're even using them now. Hang on a second, let me show you. That's right. This is what they're going to be using right now, is lasers. It's called the Iron Beam. Look at this thing. Sing pew, pew, pew. I'm going to give you the sound effects. Very interesting. So supposedly, now here's the problem with this sucker, is that it doesn't shoot very, very far, but it does do the trick, Matt Cotton. Thank you for the super chat. Does do the trick. Supposedly it works. And here's the thing. As opposed to like the big
laser gun fire
things that they use now, which cost like, I don't know, $500,000. This thing costs like $50,000 for interceptors. This thing costs like $6 or something.
Also saves pocket.
Very cheap to operate this. Very cheap.
Systems for Israel.
So, is this our next form of
the issue is that the system's
warfare?
sensors can be hampered in rainy and cloudy
What do you
conditions.
think? Some people say that this has been around for a long time and they're just releasing it now.
November and December, according to Rubin.
It is interesting, and I say I believe that I do believe that it's not coincidental that we have the entire world blanketed by satellites with lasers. That is concerning to me. Does it concern you? You got to tell me in the comments section. You got to tell me. Because this is real life. This isn't a video game. You know, a lot of talk about all the kooky stuff with the Diablo, but this isn't a video game. People are, this is horrible. But yet, I think there's going to be more. And I'm actually excited. Even though I see things like this, where it's now, and this paves the way. This is Rishi. He says anybody who's going to glorify, the stunts with the hang gliding and all that stuff that happened, anybody's going to glorify it, full weight of the law is coming against you. You can't protest. They're breaking up the protesters, saying you can't do these things. Some of the news headlines are like, British government's outlawing, the protests for the other side. So kooky. You're not going to be able to. You got to be careful what you say, because who knows who's labeled what. They're saying that Trump supporters were like that, and then they used the same word. So would that then be a problem? I don't think so. I think that this is all setting things up so that this stuff goes away. Then there's going to be another bit of hell to pay for the people that are pretty horrible. Because if you remember correctly, the scripture does kind of tell us that, those that are good-hearted, those that are cry out, it's the 62 weeks to 70 weeks of Daniel where you talk about the flood. I've shared this. Those that cry out, the book of Ezekiel and others. If you cry out and you see and you say, "Whoa, the world is terrible," that God's going to mark you off before you're going to be all right. That word, that mark, that's the mark that we see in the land today, the Tav, the 22. Marked off. This is the end. This is it. This is it. And what does it mean? It just means a new day is rising. So here's the question. Can you defeat evil with evil? No. Not in my opinion. Not in my opinion, because you're going to always have a generation that feels like they were wronged. So there's going to be a constant perpetuation. There needs to be a coming together. Long time ago, thank you, Lauren Sawyer. Long time ago, Elon tweeted out the old Singed character, right? Burnt Hair by Singed. That was his cologne that came out like a year ago. Burnt Hair. And we have Damian Harris, which means son of Harry. Scripture very clearly is pointing out to a correction that's going to be taken on the carnal man. And this is what we're in. We're in the pressure cooker right now. We're in it. We're in the thick of it. And if Jim Jordan ends up getting that seat, whether or not, I don't know. Because I'm not like, it's not like I have any insight. I didn't have any weird dream or anything. I got a vibe. We may see something huge. This is the end, right? This is the day that we're in. And it's a good time to be alive. I want to remind you why. Okay? So now this is in the book of Revelation, chapter 20, not 12. But it's talking about the judgment, which is interesting because, I talked about that 1 year ago, that the, what was the name of it? The killing stone, the nine-tailed fox. The nine-tailed fox, the demon, was released after 1,000 years, where you have the gates of hell that are now being shouted from the rooftops, where it's in every single article right now. But when those 1,000 years were over, Satan will be released from his prison. So that would be like, what if that really happened? And it happened in the earth so that we would hear the story, and God tells, because God does tell us what's happening. And will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, and gather them for the battle. It's been a year since that stone opened up, and everybody's gathered for that battle. Like literally, if it literally happens, which we're going to pray. We're going to pray there's going to be an end. We're going to pray because it's going to be cut short anyway, right? According to Scripture. They love following the script. In number, they're like the sands on the seashore. They marched across the breadth of the earth, surrounded the camp of God, the city that he loves, and that's people, by the way. It's talking about the evil that's camping around you, not a literal place. Fire came down from heaven, devoured them, and the devil who deceived them was thrown in the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast, the false prophet, had been thrown. They'll be tormented, which means to test the purity of, day and night, for aeons and aeons, for a period of time and a period of time. That's for the people that aren't doing good. They're going to be tested. They're going to be tried. But it's not a never-ending thing. You're just going to be tried. That's what torment means. Then I saw a great white throne, him who was seating on it. The heavens and the earth fled from his presence. There was no place for him. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and the books were open. Another book was open, which is the book of life. The dead were judged according to what they'd done, recorded in the books. The sea gave up the dead that were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead that were in them, and each person was judged according by what they had done. This is why I've been saying for a long time to get right. This is what's happening. We are being judged for what we have done. Then death and Hades were thrown in the lake of fire, which is the second death, Lisa Gordon, who says, I'll be glad when the end ends. Yeah, I'm tired of seeing hatred too. I really am. Horrible. So we got to show more love. Anyone whose name's not written in the book of life is thrown in the lake, which is an inlet, which is a haven of fire. So basically what that means, the word name means nature. The book of life is truth. It's love. It's peace. It's joy. It's unity. It's hope. If your nature isn't written there, if that's not written into your heart, you can be thrown in the lake of fire. And what does Christ come as? A consuming fire. And what is fire? It's what's like eating up the world, like a third of the world right now. Fire is something that we are definitely very familiar with recently, especially on 6/6/2023, 666, where it was smoggy here. Welcome to hell. Oh, well, the gates of hell, people, they're not going to prevail. They're not going to prevail. So I want you to be encouraged today. I want you to have the best day ever. I want you to go to the description of the video and click more again. Truly free home. Get yourself all sorts of stuff. They got their True Self Organics, all their organics, and everything is like eco-friendly, toxic-friendly, no toxins, no like chemicals, no terrible things. A lot of you taking advantage of that $5 special. This helps me. It has been such a blessing to me. It's you got no clue. And it's not just because now I'm using all these products and I feel like I'm actually doing something for myself. I feel like I'm not poisoning myself. You keep getting all these recalls on this and that and the other thing. So I don't, go to the website. The link is in the description. There's a $5 trial. You can try some of the, I guess, whatever they're offering, and you see what you like. And of course, if you want to get the calling, over 1,000 reviews right now. The reviews they warm my heart, because when I wrote this years ago, there's no way that I should have 1,000 reviews. Doesn't make any sense. The calling is available on Amazon. Of course, all the merch in the description of the video below. You can get yourself Uranus. All of this stuff that I do, I save it for the end of the show. I save it for the end of the show. We are not beggars. No, we aren't. We are not. We are people that are, get by with a little help from our friends. What did Jesus say when the people were like, hey, they were collecting a tax? He goes, go get a fish, and you'll find some coin in the fish's mouth. It's been going on a long time. You got to help out. You got to help out. Just by hitting like, that helps. Just by sharing, that helps. Commenting helps. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I hope that this encouraged you. Stay tuned to what's going on, and let's get to business, shall we? Let's get to loving. I'll talk to you soon.